Going into Bomb City, I always thought this was a German movie, since the Digibook Blu-ray I picked up on the clearance rack at a Half Price Books was the German release of the film, and as the film started, I was surprised it was actually an American film set in Texas, which really threw me for a loop. With that aside, Bomb City from 2017, directed by Jameson opens up to a court case as a lawyer talks about what a punk rocker was wearing, alluding to a crime that took place. We cut to a punk rocker wearing the jacket from the court case, where there's a Marilyn Manson narration about people placing blame and questioning acts of violence, while the punk rocker ventures around Texas, intercut with a football team and a boy driving around in a Cadillac. The film is based on the true story killing of Brian Deneke, which I knew nothing about. Honestly, that's probably for the better, as the film is structured in a way that if you were previously privy to the case, then the way the film subverts expectation could really fall apart for the film. I'm going to try not to spoil the film, but it may be hard considering potentially the strongest aspect of the film is this subversion of expectation with how the film is setting up the tone at the beginning of the film compared to how the film plays out and the climax of the film. It's this shift in the subversion that I really think drives home the message of the film, that it basically boils down to not judge a book by its cover. Sure, there's a deeper meaning here about society's expectations and how society views normancy, how that society could easily look away from the facts to point blame at something that breaks the norm, as to not see how something that fits the narrative of society itself is being at fault. This is a message that I've always stood very passionately behind, as it's typically a forefront argument for artistic censorship. Sure, the film isn't trying to protect freedom of speech in that sense, but it tries to raise the question on how we as a society view its members and how we want something perfect for a scapegoat when that mundane is broken. From here on out, we follow Brian Deneke and his punk rock lot as a party, go to concerts and live their lives, struggling with rent and pushing for their artistic dreams. We also cut to another storyline about Cody Cates, a young football player and an all-American kid, who him and his football teams have constant run-ins with the punks, which normally lead to a scene, but not quite an altercation. First off, the most glaring issue with the film is no one, and I mean no one who plays a teenager, which I'm assuming they're supposed to be high school football players and not collegiate, look like teenagers. They look old as shit. That's a pet peeve of mine anyways in films, is when you try to pass off adults as teenagers in movies. Just get teenagers. Just hire teenage actors. I understand that most of the punks are supposed to be older, but if that's a high school football team, they sure don't look it. The film, I guess, never really says, but considering how the lawyer talked, I'm just going to assume they're in high school, which just kept taking me out of the experience. Another thing that I found distracting was, for the most part, the acting was either stiff or hammed up. Some of the line delivery felt like cringe as they spew what felt like forced curse words for the sake of saying fuck a bunch of times. For the most part, the cinematography was good. I liked a lot of the color grading considering how much of the film was shot at night. It doesn't look super grainy or pushed. There is a scene where the lip sync was off that did take me out of the experience.
Don't just sit there, get up and get the lady another beer.
For the most part, one of my favorite things about the film was the music. A lot of it was solid pieces I could see myself listening to while writing or just wanting to zone out, which may sound like a weird compliment, but I did like it. Overall, the film definitely isn't bad. What really pushes it along is its sense of purpose mixed with a pretty compelling story based out of real events and some of its technical prowess. It's not perfect by any means, but I'd definitely be willing to check out whatever Jameson does next, and I'm giving it a 6 out of 10.